but I knocked down, I did very little paint weathering. I did mostly pastels and washes. Um, One is because I really wasn't sure how dark it should be. I didn't want to go too crazy with it, and I didn't want to lose the panel look. So, each panel is sanded individually, and there's no sun today, so I don't think any of it's going to pick up. But as you walk around, when there's a little bit of light, they'll flip-flop depending on how the light reflects in the sand scratches. So, there's everything from, I started 1,500, went up to 10,000 on some panels. Most panels are 5,000 to 7,000, wet sanded. But each panel line is taped off, basically the same way you would do flight metal. Not that I've ever done flight metal, but same idea. You just sand the panels, and they give kind of a cool effect. It's just silver paint, but they give kind of a cool effect with the flip-flopping around. Unfortunately, it's not really picking up today. There's no sun. What I found yesterday, and I posted on the build, is we took this up to the field yesterday. It didn't fly. One of the stab screws vibrated out in the car. Couldn't find it. I didn't have a spare set yet. I will before it goes out again. But so it didn't fly. So I took it out, we stuck the wings on it, put the gear down, and we're putting the stabs in, and realized that. So I just set it off. So it sat in the sun, and I was looking at it, and between the washes and the powders, it was a very hazy sun, and it had just this gray haze on it, and it really just killed the look. So I took a lot of that off. Didn't take it all off, because I wanted some weathering. I don't know if you can see any of this, but I left some of the streaking on the flaps and ailerons, because you would typically get them right here. You get a little buildup, and then it would streak. Rudder, same thing. Very little bit on the elevator. I mean, there's no hinge points, just panel lines, so I kind of grabbed them. There's still a little bit coming off the slats, but for the most part, I took it all off. And the flip-flops back, the shine's back. The haze is mostly gone. Like I said, I don't want to take it all away. Kind of damaged some of these little letters. This paint's a little different. This sanding them this fine. The Chris Wolf has a book he did about finishing, and he talks about silk screens for the tiny lettering. So it's got all this crazy tiny lettering on it. I don't know if you can see it all, but I didn't go anywhere near as much as the prototype. The prototype, it's ridiculous. So most of the pictures you can't catch because they're 50, 60, 70-year-old pictures, and the resolution's way down. But the ones you do get, these things were just, it's like they wrote the maintenance manual and printed it on the airplane. It's crazy. So I wanted to paint all that. Everything's painted. I made all my stencils on this, and everything's painted except those little letters. I couldn't do them. So I used Chris Wolf's, what he recommended. Obviously they're not Chris Wolf's, but I used what he recommended, and they were silk screens. And they work really good on, I tried them on a primered surface, just a piece of whatever, primed, and they worked awesome. And I had an old Byron F-100 that was already painted. So I just cleaned off a spot, and I painted these tiny, tiny little letters. I mean, you can see, they're not big, they're tiny. And they looked awesome. So I went to put them on the plane, and they reacted entirely different. So, which was surprising. The way, silk screen, it's literally the paint passing through a screen and then attaching to what's behind it. But being so finely sanded, the paint actually wanted to get in the sand marks and travel. So it just didn't work. So I had to go with all the little dry rub-ons. But anyways, that's the last one for sitting in my driveway. I promise we'll get one of this thing up the field. That's it.